Welcome back to another video on Elite Exotic Essentials. In today's video, I'll be doing a reaction to Why Rap Dreams Aren't Built to Last by Hip Hop Madness. Let's get started.
When a genre tends to go in cycles, the idea of the rap crew arguably had its heyday in the 80s and 90s, when every superstar rapper was equipped with a stable of artists alongside them, while other groups such as Onyx, Cypress Hill, and De La Soul were defined by their united front. Now, the recent upswing in posse projects would suggest that there's a bright future ahead for this storied tradition. While Brockhampton identify as a boy band, modern groups such as Code Rap Extraordinaires Griselda, Black Soprano Family, Beast Coast, Pivot Gang, and Atlanta's Village Village are flying the flag for the classic brand of all for one, one for all artistry. However, things get blurry when it comes to the issue of how sustainable these groups are in the long run. In an industry that fosters greed, jealousy, conflicting egos, and self-preservation at all costs, and as fueled by a desire to keep your spot, harmony within a group setting tends to have a shelf life of, say, a few years. Particularly when everyone wants to be viewed as an equal, but either their fellow group members or record companies seem to have other plans. For evidence of how a seemingly healthy crew can begin to slip to a breaking point, look no further than the wounds that have developed within ASAP Mob. While the rest of the crew members had assumed that their allegiance were as strong as ever, all it took was one crack to form, and suddenly all their dirty laundry is being publicly aired. Taking to Instagram, founding member ASAP Hills, who formed the crew with Yams and Bari, suggested that one of its leading exports has been expelled from its ranks. Ferging ASAP no more. Sorry guys, he wrote in his story. He's burnt out. Songs dump trash. Mr. Anthem can't get right. Although Bari quickly rushed to support Hill's claims, ASAP Ferg tried to fan the flames during a visit to Hot 97.
It was something super petty, but to make a long story short, I address it in a song called Big ASAP that I'm adding onto the project in a week. You're gonna get all the answers you want out of that song. They gave me promo I couldn't pay for. That A is still on my name. That A is still tatted on me. I am the ASAP Mob. Who's been waving his flag, for the past couple years?
Described by Bari as a real family during the earlier years, the chaos that now engulfs ASAP Mob confirms that no matter how indivisible a crew may seem, groups tend to represent a moment in time rather than becoming a long-term proposition. That said, how the ties are severed can vary on a case-to-case basis. With that in mind, we've scoured the history of hip-hop's fallen crews to
What was I gonna say about ASAP Mob? Yeah, we gotta think of ASAP Mob. I'm trying to think. I listened to a few songs from their cozy tapes. I know Telephone feels good. I know one iconic instrumental. Not what iconic. Well, this one instrumental that a whole bunch of other YouTubers is for the song with on Cozy Tapes 2 with Big Sean and ASAP Rocky when they go back to back. I forgot what's the name, Concussion or something. But it's really good. I like that one. That's an instrumental a lot of people use on that song. Also, they use another iconic instrumental is a J. Cole song. I think from one of his mixtapes that he released. I think it released before Burnt Sinner came out. So let's see. Keep going.
Identify what led to the destruction of what once was seen as for life. Sure enough, in many cases, the downfall of these crews bear resemblance to one another and provide lessons that any aspiring collective should take note of. For starters, we have the most obvious and unmendable source of conflict. That, of course, being personal creative differences and internal beef that suffocates the group's chemistry. Born of betrayals, resentment, and simple personality types that don't gel, this can be an inescapable hurdle for groups to get over. For a contemporary example of this, we have the two opposing forces that tore the Rich Gang apart in Young Thug and Rich Homie Quan. In response to all of the speculation over whether there was going to be any type of further releases made, Thugger's video director and longtime associate BLB informed fans that, just like the fractured relationships of countless groups before them, some things can't be put to the side for the good of the music. Deeper than rap, kid, he said of their issues during a Reddit AMA. Trust me, if you knew the truth, you wouldn't even want them to work together. Just leave it at that. To give some historical content, this is the source of the long-standing beef between Phife Dawg and Q-Tip that meant A Tribe Called Quest didn't enter a study together for 13 years. The regular war of words that's led to Bone Thugs and Harmony's breakup to makeup mentality and every flare-up that we chronicled in our recent G-Unit video.
G-Unit?
As we reopen, don't you want your pocket of America to still feel like it's home? Your small businesses?
Yeah. Oh, wait, I watched it, who was it? TV1, it was behind with Bone Thugs and Harmony, like with them. It was a whole bunch of stuff with Busy Bone, stuff like with himself, stuff that he was going through, trying to blame it on the label, saying that they was trying to keep him in that state of like him being foggy and just like not concentrating on anything. And then one of their members was in prison. That's why that one song "I'm Tired" featuring Akon, there was like only three members, and they was just talking about the situation they was going through at that current moment. Yeah. Watch that TV1. And yep.
Away from more petty squabbles, which a personal grievance can destroy a group beyond our recognition, can be seen in how Lauryn Hill and Wyclef Jean's affair had ripped the Fugees in half. Left incapable of coexisting, the bad blood between the two other members meant that Praz, Wyclef's cousin and visionary behind the group, witnessed them turn down an offer of $90 million to reunite for a 15-month tour. Speaking to Hot 97 on the matter, Praz said that it was the most dysfunctional energy because one minute you in love, man, you feel good. Next minute, yo, you ready to black out. You know what I'm saying to you? That's not good for your emotional state, man. True. Left right to the point that no dollar sum could form a truce, it may have been for the best that they didn't reunite after all. As since the dawning of hip-hop as a commercial superpower, few things have cost rifts to form in a group like money and ownership. When artists are just starting out, it's easy to place that success will never come in between the group. True. But as we've seen time and time again, things can change in an instant once the checks start to get larger and larger. Throughout hip-hop history, money's power to corrode relationships dates back to the days where Uncle Luke and the other members of the Miami-based Pioneers 2 Live crew were feuding over the rights to the group's name. By the time gangsta rap ruled hip-hop, issues of fair compensation destroyed the world's most dangerous group in NWA when Ice Cube left after being owed over $120,000 in royalties. In the eyes of state property leader Beanie Siegel, it was Dame Dash's eagerness to go on trips with company money and not handle business correctly that spelled the end of Rockefeller Records and their dynasty, in turn sparking a never-ending Cold War between him and Jay-Z. Prone to destroying at least one crew per decade, it was that same almighty dollar that'll lead the Brick Squad crew to their inglorious end in 2013. After Waka Flocka claimed that he'd never do business with Gucci Mane again, Guwap was also the target of accusations from BSM rapper Frenchie as he theorized that Warner Bros. Gave you the sack for Brick Squad and you blew the money. As painful as these fallouts can be, this actually might be one of the more humane ways that a crew can meet its end, as once the reckless spending or withheld funds come to light, it's pretty much a wrap. But when it comes to our next common cause of death for rap crews, power struggles, the agony can go on for years and years. Recently, the idea of some members trying to assert their dominance over others led to the death of Shoreline Mafia. After they signed to Atlantic, The promising LA-based group have decided to disband after the release of their first and only studio album, Mafia Business, in July of this year. After former cohort OGZ told Adam 22 that you never imagined that, especially as homies and especially before the fame and the money. And then Phoenix Flexen revealed to No Jumper that
and I always put the group first, you know what I'm saying? So if not everybody, it's so easy for a group to fall apart. Like if not everybody on the same page and have the same vision and working toward the same thing, is no.
However, at least Shoreline Mafia came to the mutual decision to part ways before things got even more volatile. Meanwhile, the Wu-Tang Clan's U-God has continued to see the reality that the Wu brothers are not on the same page, going at each other's throats, missing shows as the byproduct of years of BS catching up to RZA. Seeing the group's operations as dictatorship with everything coming from the top down, the declining quality of the Wu's work over the years, and their frosty relationships is a testament to just how much a war over the throne can pollute an iconic crew. Accredited as the demise of Lil Wayne and Birdman's father and son relationship after he wasn't granted his release from the Cash Money contract.
Yeah, that's true. Because, yeah, some people get caught up in stuff. What am I trying to say here? Yeah, you gotta make sure the business is good and make sure you know that you're getting your fair share. Because I just watched the founder about how like McDonald's became what it is today. That it was Ray. Ray. He's the one who screwed the McDonald's brothers out of their business, and they couldn't get any of their royalties. Because okay, what did he do? He started McDonald's. They own real estate, not just the food. They own real estate. So with them owning real estate, so what they did, so like any person that want to franchise McDonald's, and if the store is not up to standard with the quality of food, then he can terminate their lease on the land. And so he owned the land. He started his own company, started to own the land. And when he started to own the land, what I'm trying to say, that he didn't have to listen to the McDonald's brothers and their contract that they made. Because they made a contract, and with that contract that they made, Ray wasn't making that much money. There was final notices, bill, yeah. So he started his own company where he owned the land. And that land, the ground, with him owning that and leasing it out, he can do whatever he wants. He didn't have to listen to the McDonald's brothers. Yeah. And then they finally came to him. They came with a proposition that they wanted royalties, and also they wanted to keep their location in San Bernardino, California. But with that, like instead of writing out the contract, this is what they did. They did some type of handshake that Ray wanted them to do. They did some type of agreement with a handshake, and since they couldn't prove it, now they missed out on royalties that are worth over $100 million per year. So, like my mom told me, you gotta get stuff in writing, because if you don't, you'll be screwed out of. You're gonna miss out on stuff, and that's how they're gonna take advantage of you. Also, you gotta learn the business. That if you do subscribe to somebody, subscribe to Dorian from Group 82. He will, like, if you watch him, he teach you about like business and inspire, like the business side of, like if you're doing music and entrepreneurship, take those and apply it.
And the source of Jim Jones' bitterness over Dipset's collapse, this state of play regularly comes about when one member feels that they've outgrown their surroundings or have emerged as the breakout star.
True.
As a result, there's even likelihood that if asked if they should have left sooner when they had the chance, a lot of these artists would jump at the opportunity to rewrite history. Here, we find ourselves at the final and arguably most common cause of a crew disbanding, ambitions as a solo artist. From Willie D leaving the Ghetto Boys to pursue a career of his own after 1992's Uncut Dope, all the way to Lil' Kim eclipsing the remaining members of Junior Mafia by the time that she released Hardcore, there are times where the nature of working as a group can't coexist with an artist's larger plans. Once seen as a gang of misfits that were bravely pushing against the grain, Tyler the Creator's declaration that, although it's no more, those 7 letters are forever, speaks to how a collective can be part of an artist's journey and remain important to it, but won't allow them to push the limits of what they're actually capable of. Birthed from evolution rather than beef, Tyler's comments are near identical to the sentiment that Corday, now free of the YBN name, expressed as he recently discussed his decision to leave the crew with Elliot Wilson. Downplaying the idea that he was feuding with his former crew members, Corday said,
Now, Mir and Jay, like, those always gonna be my brothers. You know what I'm saying? In real life. Like, those are my brothers. Like, I think the world of them cats. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, sometimes as friends, you know, grow apart and you have, like, different visions for what you want to do, and that's okay. Because it's no love lost. Like,
through Corday and Tyler's conduct, we see the cleanest break that any crew can have. Otherwise, opting to try and juggle solo careers while remaining intertwined can disrupt or dilute a group's appeal. Left to contend with accusations that they've fallen off after they debuted their new track, Birkin, it seems as though Offset, Quavo, and Takeoff's hearts may not be in it anymore. Meaning that if any of those solo careers took off as intended with their debut solo albums, there's a good chance that the track wouldn't even exist. However, don't write them off just yet, as only time will tell if they can bounce back and recapture their culture glory days as they round out the trilogy. In summary, it takes an unbreakable and special bond to navigate the minefield of the music industry. So, when a rap crew can survive to the point where they have an acclaimed discography to their name, it should be a cause of celebration. As for the current crop of crews, we can only hope that they take these cautionary tales in stride, as those who don't study history are always condemned to repeat it. This has been a Hip Hop Madness original. Make sure to stay tuned and stay up to date on everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good video. So again, what causes a rap group to not succeed? Mainly money, business. So like Ice Cube, he wasn't getting his royalties that he earned money. So that's one. Also, ego getting in the way, feeling ego getting in the way, but also like ambition, like trying to see it like being solo, trying to do what you want to do with your career that doesn't involve the other members in the group. So yeah, that was a good video. Thank you. Like and subscribe. Have a good day.